Hey, what's up? Johnny Marksman here, and today I want to share you a no BS list of things that I wish I knew and was doing decades ago when I started out with music. I've been at this for over a decade. I've signed to labels like Purified, Sakura, Enormous Tunes. I'd Beatport #1s, played internationally all over the world, built a 6-figure coaching business, helping producers all around the world sign to their dream labels and quit their jobs and go full-time eventually. When I started, I made so many mistakes and wasted so much time. And if you just started out or you've been stuck where you are for a while, this video is going to save you years of wasted time. First things first, feedback is everything, but it's not all built the same. So getting feedback from your friends, particularly ones which aren't producers or musicians, is just an ego booster. They're not going to want to hurt your feelings in most cases, and they'll just say, wow, this is so great. But are they going to listen to it again and again and again? Are they actually going to become a fan of your music? Probably not. You want to be getting feedback from people who are #1 producers, but also are ahead of you in the game. Now, I understand when you start out, you might not know anybody in the industry, and that's a little bit of a problem. When I was producing, all of my friends were like finance bros and doctors and stuff, so I didn't really know any producers. I just reached out to a random YouTube channel and was like, hey, this is really weird, but I don't have any producer friends. What do you think of my music? And it turned out that guy, it was the guy that ran the channel Nie Wieder Schlafen. I don't know if they're still going, but they had amazing music. It was just like a music YouTube channel. They posted cool songs, and the guy was super nice. He like came back and was like, hey, this is cool, and like gave me some pointers and like pointed me towards the right direction. And when I started actually going to people that know what they're talking about, I saw a big improvement in my music. And then that's when I met my friend Kobe, or Paradox, who's an amazing producer. He's like one of Purified's poster boys, you could call it. And he was always a couple years ahead of me, and I sent him my music. And rather than just saying what all my friends said, like, wow, this is so cool, wow, oh, you're so good, he just tore it to shreds and was like, hey, you've got a cool idea, but the mix sounds awful. You need to develop the arrangement further. You need to do this with sound design, and so on and so forth. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Constructive criticism from somebody that actually knows what they're talking about is going to level you up massively. And yes, you do have to bite the bullet and check your ego, because think about it this way. If someone just tells you it's amazing and doesn't say how you can improve, you're not going to improve. And it sucks hearing that your work isn't good enough, but if it's coming from a place of wanting you to improve, then it's the best thing that can ever happen to you. And the people that are best at taking feedback and don't let their ego get involved are the people that are going to get to where they want to be. And by the way, if you're looking for feedback, that's one of the core components of our professional house and techno producer program. Weekly feedback from real pros, not just some random YouTube comments or from random people online that don't produce and know nothing about production, mixing, mastering, or theory. Number 2, YouTube is only going to get you so far. Now, YouTube is great. It's totally free. There's a wealth of information out there, and you're on YouTube right now learning from me. You can learn isolated tactics, which are cool. Lots of YouTubers will show very specific things, like this is how you sound exactly like Yotto, this is how you sound like Anima, or whatever, which is great. But we already have Yotto, we already have Anima. The thing is, you don't get a system, a workflow that's actually going to help, or the direct feedback and guidance to see if you're actually implementing things correctly. Nor are you getting answers to your questions properly, and it's impossible to ask questions that you don't even know how to ask, because you might not even be aware that there are lots of problems with your music. Don't get me wrong, this is coming from a guy that learned an entire chemical engineering degree off YouTube. But the thing is, YouTube is great for beginners and intermediates, but to really push through to get the advanced and pro level knowledge, you need to go to a specialist. And trust me, I run a YouTube channel. The videos that get the most views are videos which are basically for beginners, right? And are going to get the most clicks because there's so many more beginners than there are advanced people. I look at every YouTube channel, most of it is beginner or intermediate level stuff. Because the advanced stuff, the pro stuff, no one really engages with, right? They want quick wins and how to structure a track or something. So I'm happy to show the analytics from my channel when I've done a pro level video. Literally gets no views. So YouTubers are actually If you think about how YouTubers make money, it's from getting loads of views, loads of sponsorships and affiliate links, right? Now, if their content's not popular, they're not going to make it. Often, the not so popular stuff is the most valuable, right? And if we go back to my chemical engineering degree example, yeah, I could get to the point where I could pass my final exams, but am I going to be a prolific world-class chemical engineer from learning from YouTube? No, I'd have to go speak to specialists who can show me the way in an industrial context. It's the same with music. If you want to really get to the professional level, you need to go learn from people that are doing the things that you want to do. The truth is, watching endless tutorials is not going to equal progress. It's going to keep you stagnant and plateauing. At the start, yes, very good idea to get up to the speed with the basics. But real progress is finishing tracks, getting feedback, and improving and repeating the cycle with a workflow that works. Not learning a cool tip here and there. A cool tip is not going to make the difference between an amateur track and a pro level track. You need structure, you need strategy, and to understand the fundamentals of writing good music, producing it, arranging it, mixing it, and so on. Number 3, structure creates speed. So you need a workflow. You're going to have one, because if you sit down and are just randomly experimenting and hoping for the best, then yeah, your music's probably not going to get finished in a timely manner, if at all. And you'll be stuck in loops and unfinished ideas forever. Now, once I developed a systematic workflow for producing music and learned all of the tools, learned all of the theory that's required to write a good song and finish it, everything changed. When I sit down, I can go from a blank project to a fully mastered track in 4 to 6 hours consistently. And it is absolutely possible for you to do that as well if you create a workflow. We speak to thousands of producers every year, and some of them maybe finish a track every 6 months or even a year in some cases. That's not going to create momentum. You need a process. And yeah, you might be thinking, if I have a process, doesn't that take the fun out of it? Not at all. But it is going to get you tracks finished, and it is going to get you results so that you can start building momentum. We teach this exact workflow in our program, and regardless of your situation, if you are working full-time, if you have a wife, husband, kids, you do sport, everybody we teach this to within 6 months or less can get a track a week finished, regardless of their situation. You might be thinking, I just don't have time for this. I only have a few hours a day or like a few hours a week. I can guarantee it's about making the most out of the time you do have to make progress with your music. And yes, everybody's situation is different, but everybody should have a workflow. And to this point as well, the quicker you work, the better the product is, because you don't overthink things, you just do what needs to be done and keep your objectivity. So this is why fluency in the software is also important, really understanding the fundamentals behind the tools. But just a case in point, I know it's a completely different genre, but I can't actually remember which Guns N' Roses song it is, but it's either Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, or Welcome to the Jungle. 3 of their most legendary songs ever. I can't remember which one it is, but one of them was written in literally 20 minutes. And it's like one of the, undoubtedly one of the most famous and awesome songs of all time. So work quickly, have a workflow, and get stuff done. Number 4, you need to have a sustainable process for building and converting potential listeners into fans. It's not enough just to make good music. It's assumed you make good music, because just think about it. Nobody likes listening to bad music, right? It's so obvious. You need to have a system that's going to promote your music, ideally in a scalable and even automated way once you get to that scale, to grow a fan base, to grow an audience, which you can then monetize over time. So ways you can monetize your music are of course going to be gigs and streaming and downloads, sure, but you actually have to have a lot of fans to do that. There's also things like merch, products and services like sample packs, mixing and mastering, ghost production, sync, and of course education. But you've got to have good music to do this, right? Because no one's going to take you seriously if you want to be a mixing and mastering engineer if your music is whack, right? So once you have the audience, it's easy to monetize, and you can basically do anything with it. You can go get gigs super easy. We'll talk about more about that in a second. You need to have this system in place. Now, there's generally 3 things you can do. There's going to be content, of course, which is one of the pillars, which is free to do. It's just time consuming. There's outreach. You can do B2B and B2C outreach if you want to learn B2B and B2C outreach, B2B being to producers, DJs, and people on labels and whatnot, and then B2C is going to be to fans of the music, right? And then there's paid advertising. Now, I only recommend doing paid stuff once you've mastered the free stuff, because you'll just be setting fire to your money if you don't actually understand your fan base, what they think about, and like the kind of person they are, and how to talk to them, which is, by the way, why you should be doing outreach. We have the basic flow of outreach here in your first 1,000 fans course, which is totally for free up here somewhere. But if you want to learn the full B2B, the full content strategy, and like the paid advertising stuff as well, this is something we teach and build for you in our program. If you want to learn more about that, there's a link in the description. The thing is, if you don't have this system in place, you might have great music, but it's getting 5 plays on Spotify. It can take a lot of time to make good music, so you want to make sure that your system is going to showcase your hard work to the world properly. And if you're like, I don't care about the results, well, sure, you can keep telling yourself that, but I guarantee if you could choose between having 30 streams and 300,000 streams, you're obviously going to choose 300,000, right? So have that system in place, and if you need help with that all, watch that video in the description. Number 5, you can't do this alone. Now, music is not a solo sport. There's a reason why people collaborate and learn from each other, because yes, there are things that you do need to do on your own. Yes, you can teach yourself a lot through experimentation and developing your own style and studying music, sure. But if you want to go pro, you need people who've already done it. Mentorship and community will get you there so much faster, particularly if you're in a community of people that are also doing or wanting to do the same things as you. And many people we speak to are just so opposed, whether it's their ego or whatever other reason, to actually asking for help. And there's no shame in that. Do you think, like most of the people who are at the top, do you think they just did it all on their own and just sat in a room until they were able to make really tight professional level music? Of course they didn't. At some point they got help. Whether they admit it or not is one thing. But in my story, I didn't know it all. I had a musical background. I learned production from YouTube. But to be a successful artist, you have to have obviously really good music and be able to do that. But there's also loads of other skills that you need. You need to have like a content strategy. You need to be able, you're basically an entrepreneur, right? You need to learn sales. You need to learn marketing. You need to learn how to network with people and all sorts of stuff, and how to create leverage and opportunities. And I didn't know how to do any of this. I was just some guy that liked making music. So I probably joined 9 or 10 programs in my life. And when I sucked at sales, I went and got a sales program. When I needed to learn more about marketing, I got a marketing program. When I needed to learn mixing and mastering, I went and got a mixing and mastering program. And that has been instrumental in getting to me where I am quickly, because I was probably self-taught for about 5 years before I actually got help for the first time. And what I accomplished in 5 years on my own compared to what I accomplished in about 3 to 5 months during the program I joined is night and we're talking like a 10 to 20x difference in my output. That's crazy, right? So think about it. Would you rather go another 5 years of making marginal gains, or would you rather make 5 years of gains in 6 months? It's a no-brainer, right? We have a full system in our program to not only help you write professional level music, but also teach you the skills you're going to need to basically become an entrepreneur and get your music heard by the right people and start monetizing. Plus, high-level guidance, training, and accountability from our community and ourselves. Number 6, music theory helps so much. You don't need a degree in music, but understanding theory helps massively. Concept is, if you know the rules, it's easier to play the game. And also, if you know the rules, it's easier to repeatably make good music. An analogy I want to use is, let's just say we want to go to the moon, and we need to build a rocket to do that. We have 2 choices. Number 1, we could use random experimentation and hoping for the best to get to the moon. And number 2 is we could use rocket science, aerospace engineering, and observable facts about the universe. What do you think is going to get us to the moon quicker, safer, and more efficiently? It's pretty obvious, right? Number 2, because we're doing what works and applying it to that situation. Same with music. If you want to write really good music, you can just do what works, right? And yeah, before you say, well, that takes the fun out of it, and some of the best music has been written by people that don't know theory. Yeah, I get that, but I can guarantee that their consistency, their output, and their hit rate is going to be substantially lower than those that do know theory. If, let's just say you want to write an emotional, sad song, you can use emotional sad chords, you can use a particular type of melody, you could write it in D minor, that's the saddest key, if you know, you know. And like, by doing that, you've already basically composed most of the song, right? And you can just do it again and again and again. You can do what works. And if you want to capture a particular emotion, you need to understand what emotions certain chords perceive to the listener. Now, I'm grateful to be a classically trained musician. I've studied the theory of music in classical format, both in rock and metal, and I'm a lifelong musician. But songwriting theory and production theory are slightly different, but they are applicable. And I always find new ways, or look to find new ways, learn new ways that I can learn more about theory to be able to implement it into my productions to make it even more captivating and interesting. Such as, like in the past couple of years, I've been going hard on polyrhythms, which is something that most people never use. There's a concept I'm going to start incorporating called metric modulation, which is where you change the vibe of the drums, which massively changes the vibe of the perceived track. If you want to see some cool stuff on metric modulation, the song The Mirror by Dream Theater, the intro of that is a perfect example of this. This is all stuff that I've learned recently, and I always want to learn more about theory. How can I make even more interesting, even more emotionally captivating music? And this is something that you should be learning right now. And by the way, we have a full thing on music theory and melody writing. It's probably somewhere up here. It's a totally free course that will teach you everything you need to know to at least get started with it. Number 7, this is an important one. Don't confuse partying with networking. Now, when I was working full-time, I had limited time to produce music, and I always thought I'm going to go out and meet the right people. But actually what that kind of turned out to be was I would just be going out and partying Friday and Saturday and then be hungover Sunday, and sometimes even be going out during the week. Sure, you might meet some people who might be able to give you opportunities, but if you don't actually have anything to offer them, in other words, finished music, a fan base, and something else on top of that, then they're not going to take you seriously. And yeah, you might get some DJ gigs in the opening scene, and we'll talk more about that in a second, but going out and partying all night until 6 a.m. Friday and Saturday, or even just one night a week, is not going to get you to where you want to be. The thing that is hard work consistently and saying no to a lot of things. And by the way, you can even network online. You don't even have to go out to party. But yeah, the in-person connection is important. But I can guarantee for a fact, nothing valuable ever happens after 1 a.m. So go home early, don't drink a lot, and you know, if you get absolutely mangled on whatever you like to party on, then people in the industry are not going to take you seriously. And also, like, you will be that guy or girl, you're not coming across as a professional. Professional is somebody that has something great to offer and also is presentable, right? If you want to get real opportunities and create real contacts who are going to be able to help you, you need to build relationships over time. This can be online and in person, but you need to offer value and show up with music that's ready and good to go and worth hearing, because then when you meet these people, they're going to take you so much more seriously. Now, case in point, so I did this for many years until I actually realized that I wasn't making any progress, and it was partly because of that. And I see loads of people in the scene who are basically just in the exact same place they were 5, 6, 7 years ago, because they're not actually doing what needs to be done, making music and pushing the needle. Whereas if you go out partying all the time, sure, you might meet people, but they're not going to give you opportunities, are they? Because you've got nothing to offer. It's always a positive value exchange. So if you've got something great, you will get something great in return. But if you've got nothing to offer, you're going to get nothing. So don't kid yourself thinking that going out like all the time is for your music career. you're just a party animal. And take it from a previous party animal, I know exactly how it feels. And by the way, I'm not saying don't have fun and be a Elon Musk style production machine. You gotta have your kick somehow. But when you do go out, make sure that you are the best possible representation of yourself and that you've got cool things to show for it. Number 8, finished is better than perfect. Nobody cares about the 72 almost finished projects you have. DJs don't care. Producers don't care. Fans don't care. Labels don't care. Finished music is the only currency that the industry deals in. And finished songs, even if they're not perfect, because you learn so much more in the end stages of the production, such as things like automation, mixing, dynamic mix down, and ear candy. All of those things you do right at the end in our workflow, which you can see through our program. But if you're just getting to the same point and never getting anything done, then it's just a total waste of time and you have nothing to show for it. Similarly as well, perfectionism is going to kill your results and your motivation, because there's a saying, a piece of art is never finished, it just ends in an interesting place. And if you're finding that you're tweaking something for weeks, months, years, and it's still not done, then it was probably finished ages ago. There becomes a point of diminishing returns where what you're putting in is not actually getting you any further. That's the point where it's finished. And move on. Now, one of my friends, Jules, Bound to Divide, I spoke to him, I think this was last year or the year before. He said that he finished 100 tracks that year and he released 7 of them. Every pro I know finishes way more tracks than they actually release. Good enough is better than not at all. Get it finished and move on. And so many producers that we see in the early or even intermediate stage get so bogged down with one track, and they just keep making it worse and worse each time. Whenever they give feedback, we're like, dude, just move on. Get to the next song, park this idea. It's highly unlikely that that one song is going to be the be-all and end-all with your career. So if you can't find the answers in that one, just get it finished and be like, okay, cool, I'm going to move on, rather than just continuously trying to make it better and better and better. Like, just get it finished and move on to the next one, because you're going to be able to implement all of the learnings, all of the lessons that you've learnt from that track into the next one, so you can be even more efficient, even better, and just probably make a song that you're actually even more excited about. So just keep moving, get them finished, flogging a dead horse, so to speak. Number 9, most people, including myself, waste or have wasted money on things that don't matter and all of the wrong stuff. You don't need every plugin on the planet. Now, trust me, I probably spent many thousands of pounds on plugins, synths, pieces of hardware that I barely ever use. Did they make the difference between an amateur sound and a professional sound? No. All you really need is a good DAW. So if you have Logic or Ableton, you probably have everything you need to make professional level music. And I can prove this because a Grammy award winning album has been made on GarageBand using only tools and instruments in GarageBand, which is a free DAW. Yes, there are some great tools out there that can help and be used in creative ways, sure. But at the end of the day, if you don't know how to use the basic tools that you already have, then the £200 synth or £300 EQ is just as useless as the basic synth and the basic EQ that you already have. Now, in my productions, if you've ever seen any of my videos, if you ever see me produce or see the projects, which by the way, you get all of the project files in my program, I use stock stuff all the time. Like, the Ableton stock stuff is really, really good. The only thing which I would recommend you actually need is a synth that can do everything. Probably Serum or Diva. I would probably recommend Serum because it's a lot more visual and easy to learn. But if you've got that, that's basically everything you need. And the stock stuff is really, really good, particularly with Ableton 12 with Raw. That's fantastic. There's actually a quick tip we did on our Instagram channel, so go follow us at Marksman's Producer Academy so you don't miss those. But the key takeaway here is you need to know how to use the tools you already have, because what's actually important is learning how to write good music and arrange it and mix it really, really well. You already have all the tools to do that. I guarantee you that. If you have Ableton, you're good to go. That's it. That's all you need. If you are going to invest in anything, invest in your education. And before you say, I need this synth to do this, I need this plugin to do that, like, you don't. I spoke with a guy called Stefan in Berlin when I was playing there last year, and he has the most absurd setup of hardware mixing and mastering tools, but also synths. And he just said to me, I literally just use all of the stock stuff and plugins. He's opened a museum in Berlin, I believe it's open now, called the Museum of Synthesis, which is just where all of these synths that he has are there, which he never uses. He just says, they're fun for a week and then they just become an expensive decoration. So no, you don't need hardware. No, you don't need loads of plugins. You just need to actually learn what it takes to write a good song and arrange it in an interesting way that's going to be captivating. And yeah, you can always hire mixing and mastering engineers, but try and get better at mixing and mastering as well. Don't waste your money on that, because if your song's not good enough to start with, then it's just going to sound polished and still be a boring song. So if you're going to spend your money on anything, spend it on your education. I look at all of the money that I've spent in my music production career so far, and I think about the value that it actually brought. Now, this is coming from a guy who's probably spent about 100K on everything combined, including programs, software, hardware, and education, and everything, and promotion, everything in between. The thing that moved the needle the most and got me the most return was anything to do with my education. So I've done programs on mixing, promotion, and all sorts of stuff. They had a return on the investment. A new hardware synth has no return on the investment, especially when you already have one. So don't fall into this trap thinking that you need loads of new tools and gear to actually get the sound you want. Focus on your skills, because that's the most important thing. You can have all the gear, but no idea, and it's not going to help you write good music. Learning how to do that will. Number 10, don't fall into the DJ trap in the local scene. If you're in a major city, or like even any city, it's actually pretty easy to get gigs, but so many people start seeing, and myself included, feel that when they start getting a few gigs in the scene, everything's just going to blow up and snowball. Now, sure, it's great to perform live to an audience, but at the end of the day, you're always going to be the opener unless you start releasing original music and can build a fan base. Because there are many people I know in the London scene personally who have been doing this for 5+ years, and they focused all on gigs. And yep, they get a lot of gigs, but they're always the opener. Is anybody actually going to see them? No, they're buying a ticket to see the headliner. They don't really care who the opening act is. And sure, you might be a good DJ, but like, it's great, but it's not how you're going to break through to that next level. These people are always going to be the opening act unless they start releasing original music. And the irony is, I've heard them publicly say, I just don't have time to produce music because I've got so many gigs going on. That's what I'm focusing on. And I have no time to focus on production. But the irony is, if you play the long game, you're going to be playing much better shows, not just in your local scene, but around your country and even internationally. By the way, this is how I got all of my international gigs. It was from releasing original music and growing an audience. And it's a very, very inefficient way of getting fans. You have to be there in person, and it's only in that local area, and assuming they like your music. Whereas if you release music that's worldwide, you can grow fans in different countries, create an audience there, and then go play in different countries, right? If you want to play the bigger shows and actually get paid for DJing and have people buy a ticket to see you, then you need to grow a brand, grow an audience first, and then the bookings come to you. Play the long game and don't go for short-term gratification. And if you are wanting to get gigs in your local area, basically the way you do it is you show up and you kiss ass. And you're like, wow, I love this party so much, this is so cool, etc. And yeah, sure, like if you want to do that, you can. But at the end of the day, who likes being an ass kissed? People will come to you if you're in demand and you have something to offer. So these people don't have anything to offer, so they go straight for the ass kissing. And sure, that works for them, but it's not going to get them out of their country, and it's also not going to get them any further than the opening act. And do you want to be an opening act, or do you want to play the support act? Do you want to play the headliner? It takes time to get there, but the long game is the best way. Number 11, getting a mentor will substantially accelerate your growth, but get the right mentor. I look back at how much progress I've made from hiring a mentor that is doing what I want to do or has done what I want to do. The knowledge they could give me in a short amount of time was worth 5 or 10 years of self-teaching. Not every great artist is going to be a great teacher. Some people that we speak to say, oh, well, I could go and pay Anima, someone like a really big artist, to ensure you could do that if they offer it. But there's a few inherent problems with that. Number one, just because they're good at what they do doesn't mean they're good at explaining what they do in a way that's easy to understand. Being good at something and being good at teaching something are two very different skills. You need someone that has both of those that overlap. And just because someone is a prolific artist does not by any means mean that they prioritize actually helping people, right? Think about it. Somebody that's making loads of money from touring the world, releasing on labels, like, that's what they care about because that's what they do. They don't need coaching or mentoring. That's what they do. So if you approach them, number one, it's going to be very expensive for their time because they can probably earn many tens of thousands of pounds or dollars from one DJ set for 3 hours. So imagine how much 3 hours of their time is going to cost you. It also doesn't mean they're going to be prioritizing you and what you need because they're busy doing other things. They're busy doing more high impact things for them. There are a lot of people out there that run things as a business and don't really care about their clients' results as long as they're paying. Now, yes, people should be compensated fairly for their time, but there are people out there that don't really care about the actual results as long as the money's coming in. But then there are other coaches who are going to really care about their students' results and go the extra mile to be able to help them and adapt to their situation. Now, one thing that's really important to avoid is a cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all approach, because everybody's story, everybody's journey is different. Now, yes, there are going to be things that everybody needs to know, but look for something that's tailored, look for something that can actually help you and your specific problems that you have, because you don't just want to learn more of the same. I look at some courses I've bought over the past where it's just been like, cool, I know all of this already. It's been a total waste of my time, energy, and resource. But then something that's more tailored, like, this is the situation I'm in, this is what I'm trying to achieve, and somebody that understands that and can help you go from A to B, that is what you're looking for. You want to work with somebody that is walking the walk. They are doing or have done what you want to do and can teach it as well, but also have a record of helping others do the same thing. That's why our program is run by working producers like myself and TJ Lawson, who have toured around the world. We signed to labels like Purified, Sakura, Enormous, and many, many more. Have DJ support from A-list DJs, and we actually care about your results and can replicate them with other people. So some of our students have signed to dream labels like Colorize, Enormous Tunes, Glasgow Underground, Spinning, Armada, many more. And this is repeatable because we actually care and we have a system that works. But it's also tailored to what people need. Number 12, don't just offer your music, offer value. Labels, promoters, and other artists get pitched every single day by hundreds, if not thousands, of producers who all have pretty good music. So what makes you different? Why should they choose to listen to your demo or choose to sign you over the other thousands of people that are reaching out for their attention? If you have, in business, people that have leverage are people that get the deals they want. They have more negotiating power. They can work with the people they want to work with because other parties want to work with you. If you've built an audience, you've got great music, you've got an awesome live show, and you have something additional to offer, or you can provide value in some way or another to the other party, they're going to choose you over everyone else because you are going to be the one that stands out. Now, I know countless people in the industry who release really good music and they might sign to really good labels, but like they're still in full-time jobs because they don't have anything else to offer outside of just the music. And sure, that's an important thing, but they can't monetize their audience or have a way to offer value to people to get bigger, more higher paid opportunities. Therefore, they're stuck in this cycle. You need to think like an entrepreneur. Like in business, if you ask for everything and give nothing in return, then no one's going to work with you. But if you bring valuable things to the table, such as a large audience, such as skills. Like in your day job, maybe you're really good at marketing or sales or something like that. Or maybe you're good at AI. You can bring those skills to the table, sweeten the deal, on top of having really good music and having an audience. And that's going to make you irresistible to labels, promoters, and other producers. Case in point, we ran a radio show for my label Elevation London. We had 4.5 million reach on our radio show every show. If you go to literally anybody in the industry with that, they're going to want to work with you. So because of this, we've worked with people like Korolova, Jonas Salbach, Grigore, many more. And through our label as well, we've quite prolific artists that released on like Injuna Deep, This Never Happened, Colorized, Sakura, because we had this big radio show to offer, plus the infrastructure in place to actually invest in our artists, right? People wanted to work with us, and we'd been doing it only for 18 months. Through that, we've had 3 Beatport #1s because of our network and leverage, but also we just have an amazing offer. So people send us music all the time, even quite big artists, because of all of this. So start building leverage and value right now. And you don't even have to have anything crazy like that. You can just even be like, hey, I just want to help out. Like when you're DJing, support artists, support labels in your mixes, and share it to your stories and to your network. People will see and appreciate that. Get in people's good books, provide value, and the opportunities will come like crazy to you. Number 13, a volume strategy versus a perfection strategy is always going to win. What I mean by this, it's important to produce lots and lots of music. Not every track is going to be a hit, and not every track is going to be one that you're actually excited about releasing. Case in point, mentioned him before, but Jules, Bound to Divide, he finished 100 tracks, 1 year, released 7, only the best of the best. I look at some of the projects where I finished, and I haven't released all of them because I just felt like it wasn't quite there. Now, you can recycle finished tracks that you don't release. You can send them to collaborators. That's a huge bonus little tip right there. You can say, hey, I didn't find quite the answer in this one, but maybe you can. And actually, that's how some of my best tracks have come, through collaborations. But that's the game. Make loads of music and release the best of it. And this is why having a workflow and structure is really important, because you can choose what you want to release, not just what you have available to release, which is really important. If you're just finishing a track every 6 months, that's not enough to improve and build a brand. You will see, particularly at the start, very big differences between each track in terms of its quality and how good it is. And even myself, every track that I make and finish is slightly better than the last in most cases, but the differences are much smaller and harder to see. But if you listen to my music from what I finish right now compared to 2 years ago, there's a big difference, but it takes longer to see, and it's a smaller difference. Once you have the right strategy and workflow, finishing a track a week is 100% possible. Case in point, Sleepless Skies, one of our star students, signed to Colorize. He has a full-time job, he's got a wife, he has 2 kids, he has a golden retriever, and he also plays sport consistently. He can actually finish 2 tracks a week. The top labels like Colorize, Monowave, and many more are signing, because he has that workflow in place. And he can choose the ones that he really likes. He can choose the best out of all the tracks he makes. So he can make 4 to 8 tracks a month, and he can choose to release the best 1 or 2 of those each month. We've seen it over and over again in our program. Once you learn our workflow, it's totally possible to finish at least 1 track a week. So yeah, those are the biggest lessons I've learnt in my career so far. I wish somebody had told me this earlier. It would have saved me years of trial and error. If you want to learn more about how we help producers finish professional level music each week, grow an audience, sign to top labels, play more shows, monetize their audience, and eventually quit and go full time, there's a video in the link in the description. Click it, check out the video, explains everything, all the questions that you might have and how it all works. And if it speaks to you and you're serious about taking things to the next level with your music and doing all of those things I mentioned before, you can book a free strategy call with either myself or Tim, but don't waste your or our time. If you're not a house and techno producer and this is just a hobby that you're just doing for fun, this isn't for you. This is a high-level tailored mentoring program, so it does come at a cost, but we do have options of how it can work in terms of the investment. So if you want to chat with us, check that video out first, go book a call. Look forward to speaking with you. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already.